Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another round of Super Rugby Pacific, and this one taking place between the Blues and the Western Force, two sides that very necessarily need this win if they want to make their way through to the next stage of the competition. Looking through at the way that the table currently sits, this is what we're looking at. The Western Force, they are inside of that top six, but definitely note that if they lose this game, that could drastically change by the end of this round. The Blues, they are in ninth. They are on the same points as the Highlanders, who are sitting in the 10th place position. They've got a decent points differential compared to some of those sides above them. So a big win here could actually boost them as high as theoretically probably 6 at the end of this round, but there is still a lot of ground to make up for both of these sides. If the Force can somehow get themselves the away win here, though, they'll be one step closer to the next stage of the competition. Looking through at this Blues starting lineup, once again, looking extremely strong. Josh Fusitoa, Ricky Riccatelli, and Marcel Renata will make up the front row. Patrick Tuipulotu, the captain, at number 4, with Lachlan McWonnell in the number 5 jersey. Anton Segner, Dalton Papali'i, and Hoskin Satutu slots in as the number 8. Taupo Funaki alongside Bowden Barrett in the 10 jersey. In the midfield, it is Xavier Taeli who gets the opportunity there alongside Rico Ioane. So a bit of a reshuffle here in the back line with AJ Lamb transitioning out to the wing, or at least he was going to be. But I do see late change here. Corey Evans makes his way into the side, ladies and gents. So he will be out on the left wing. Cole Forbes is out on the right. And Stephen Perofeta as the number 15. But looking through at the Western Force starting lineup for this contest, it is going to be Coxon, Dolly, and Robertson, who has had an outstanding start to his Super Rugby Pacific season. Jeremy Williams and Darcy Swain in the locking duo, with Chris Pigney out on one wing. Oh, sorry, not out on the wing, but in the loose forward trio. Carlo Tazzano out on the other side of the scrum, and Reed Prinsep slotting in as the number 8. Henry Robertson, or I believe it is actually, it is Henry, alongside Ben Donaldson, Hamish Stewart, and Bailey Quinzel in the midfield, with Greeley, Potter, and Beale returns at number 15. He is definitely one to keep an eye out for in this contest for the long-awaited return. But looking through at the chat, we have got Kia ora, says Chris. Welcome in. Hey, everyone, says Judah. And also, hi, Hamish. Who do you think is going to win? And I think the Blues will win 27 points to 46. It's a very hard game to predict, I do have to say, because once again, this is the type of contest that the Blues should be able to win. But they have shown throughout the season that they aren't exactly as consistent as people would like to see them. A website for Look This Game, please, says Mika. So your best bet, probably depending on where you are in the world, Sky Sport Now if you're in New Zealand. It's on Stan Sport if you're in Australia. Super Sport if you're in South Africa. But there's a where to watch guide on the Super Rugby website. So I do recommend checking that one out. Evening, Amish and everyone. Some positive thinkers in the poll tonight, says Studs Ray. So I assume, that's the thing is that saying that the Force are going to cause the upset as positive thinking, or saying that the Blues are going to win this game as the positive thinking here? Because honestly, both of them could be correct in this scenario. Everyone waiting to see that Blues season turn around as they make a little bit of a burst towards that top 6, but they definitely need the win here. Bailey Quinzel, he will be making his way out onto the field for his 50th match tonight. So a big opportunity for that man as well. But what we will quickly do is go like this and go like that as well. But doesn't look like a very full Eden Park, unfortunately, for this match. And maybe that is down to the results that we have seen recently for the Blues. The evening, I think it's about the best weather that they could have asked for. Blues are huge favourites in the betting line, says Judah. And also 78% win prediction, says Studs Rays. And have you heard Sevens is changing? I certainly have, and it's not changing for the better. Unfortunately, they're just trying to kill it off completely, it would seem. We have got the broadcast guide from Sebastian there. I'm French and do not speak English well. Is it possible to pin the link in the comments? Thank you. Tell you what, Sebastian, if you were getting paid, you would have earned a raise right there. I'm literally being about 2 seconds later, straight in there. Evening, it's 7:04 p.m. I'm in New Zealand, says Ilaria. I am as well. And that is the correct time. But now, Rico Ioane making his way onto the field. He's had an interesting season once again. Hasn't been able to cross the try line as much as he quite possibly would have liked to. Big opportunity here alongside Taeli in the midfield. And we have got their Blues haven't been well this year, says Chris Hayes. Yeah, unfortunately, they have made a lot of errors. What do you mean by not for the better? Well, we've got a whole heap of Sevens live streams throughout the weekend, so we'll be able to talk about it there. But for now, we're almost at the kickoff of Super Rugby Pacific with Ben O'Keefe as the referee in charge of this one, with Richard Kelly as the TMO. Cheers, mate. Also, good morning. Hope you're well. See Sebastian doing very well. Thank you, Seb. Big weekend coming up, of course. Dalton Papali'i, he is back from an ankle sprain. He would like to get himself, of course, on that try scorer's sheet too. We have got 3 a.m. in the States, says Judah. And Curtly Bell back in the Western Force kit, although they are rocking the yellow today. Very important game, like I said, for both of these sides. They need a victory. The thing is, that back three for the Western Force haven't been going terribly, though. So Curtly Bell will have to play well here. Yes, he's got the name value to go alongside this Western Force team, but you know, you look at Greeley, Potter, they've had some pretty decent opportunities. Quinzel out on the wing normally, but he's moved into the centre, so maybe it's also based off a bit to do with injury, but it will be the Western Force kicking off from right to left. And we are underway for another round of Super Rugby Pacific. First touch of the game goes to Rico Ioane. It looks like a bit of a counter-up coming from the Western Force as well, but the Blues will hang on. Blues need a win here. They are in serious jeopardy of missing out on the playoffs. Yeah, whoever, like, that's the thing. The Western Force, if they lose this game, they'll still be thereabouts. If the Blues lose this game, they pretty much need a flawless run from here to qualify. Because, of course, yes, it's possible for them to get, I believe it's about 20 points from here, maybe even a little bit more than that. But, you know, you don't want to leave it too late because other sides are also going to be getting those points in the near future too. It is thrown in nicely by the Western Force, moving up to the halfway line with their rolling maul. Dolly at the back of it, trying to get this one to shuffle that little bit further forward here. Doesn't look like it's going a huge amount of distance just at the moment. And referee Ben O'Keefe says he's through the middle for Anton Segner, almost able to get that interception. Nice step from Matt Greeley, who ends up, I think he sat down. Who was it? Lachlan McWannell might have got sat down by him. Oh no, in fact it was Cole Forbes, who does get up from the breakdown. Western Force, though, they have got themselves possession about 45 metres out from the Blues line. That looked like an awkward twist for Papali'i, of course, just coming back from his ankle injury. So the last thing that he wants there to twist it again. And folks, says Colossus, welcome in. Nicely cleaned up by Curtly Bell, but they will go back for the original knock-on. So the scrum feed for the Blues. And thanks again for your coverage of the game, Hamish says. So no worries at all. We have got, I believe, 3 games of Super Rugby Pacific throughout this weekend. And then maybe for the Highlanders Moana Pacifica on Sunday afternoon. By that stage, I think I would have been up by, or probably for around 26 hours. So that's still a bit of a 50-50. First scrum of the game happening very early on. Tom Robertson, he's been tearing men apart, is the best way of describing it. He has just been ripping through pretty much any front row he's come up against. And when you look at the Force's results, you know, it shows how strong he has been. Blues aren't dead, but they are buried, says Stud Strays. That's the thing, like, they just need one big win, I feel. They've had so many close games. They've got the penalty off the first scrum. I think they've said that pulling back against Ryan Coxon there. Looks like Fusitua, yeah, might have. Or was it? No, it might have been Fusitua who managed to get the better of Tom Robertson there. So Bowden Barrett going to be able to kick this one into touch. When does the Chiefs get next game and who against? They are playing up against the Hurricanes tomorrow at 7:05. Yeah, if the Blues can get a big win here, it would definitely boost the confidence a little bit. We are getting closer and closer to those playoff games. These are the remaining matches for the Force. They have got the Brumbies, the Fijian draw, and the Waratahs. So they don't actually play any more New Zealand sides. And they haven't got an away win as of yet. That game up against the Fijian draw, that would be their last opportunity to do so if they weren't victorious here for the Blues. In terms of what they have got to come, they have got their game up against the Fijian draw in Fiji, playing Moana Pacifica, and then taking on the Tars. So 3 sides with blue in their kit, facing the Blues. That one hasn't gone into touch, so Cole Forbes will look to run this one back. In fact, gives it across to Stephen Perafeta. Met well by Nick Champion de Crispigny, I should say. Got quite the tongue twister of a last name. It always makes those lineups go a little bit further to the side for the loose forwards. I think for this game, Carlo Tizzano is known as Carlo Tiz because Champion de Crispigny took up all the space. But it's going to be a line out now for the Western Force. In fact, they've got the option of both. We have there considering LA Sevens doesn't start till Sunday. Are you not doing Monday games? What do you mean Monday games? Like the Champions Challenge Cup games? Because we are doing them as well. They don't actually overlap too much, believe it or not. I think the only one that overlaps was maybe Fiji versus New Zealand. Can you please say up the Waz? Now, last time when we started saying up the Waz, they started losing. So we've got to be very careful saying that. But doing very well at the moment, the Warriors in their NRL. Currently a rolling maul again here for the Western Force. It looked like maybe Anton Cena came in through the side there. But for now, ball is still going to be available for the Western Force, who's on the wings for the Blues tonight. So it was going to be AJ Lamb and Cole Forbes, but they made a bit of a switch. So it is now actually Corey Evans and Cole Forbes. So AJ Lamb out. Not sure whether or not that's sickness or injury or what the go is there. And go, brother. Blues from a Kane supporter, says Keith Cook. Yeah, it seems like quite a few of the New Zealand sides getting behind each other at the moment. There has been a lot of talk about 4 Australian sides being within the top 6, or at least there were. So I feel like now those sides for New Zealand that were 7th, 8th and 9th, they're all just trying to push up that little bit further. The Landers at the lowest with 17 points. The Blues also on the 17th and 9th. Looks like they will have the box kick opportunity for Taeli. He's been told to use it. That ball's not coming out there, so tell you what, he got very lucky to get rid of that one. Do you only do commentary for any other sport like cricket or netball? I'm the best player in my school in cricket and netball, or one or the other. That's a good run from Harry Potter. We've done a little bit of cricket in the past. Normally we like to get copyright strikes when doing the cricket, though. That's the tricky part. Barrett got smashed, says Dane. Yeah, perfectly timed hit. But the big difference was, unlike last week and unlike Mark Talia, the man didn't lift the legs. My name is just a lie now, says Highlanders will win Super Rugby 2025. Well, if they win their game this weekend up against Moana Pacifica and then win the rest of their games from here, I believe they actually still have a chance of the top 6, so it might not be a lie. Looked like a bit of a mistake there from Henry Robertson. I don't know whether or not he was trying to milk a penalty or what. Kirtley Beale going to go for the little kick in behind, but it sits up for Stephen Pirafetta again. And that's going to be very nicely taken at the back for Ben Donaldson. Now Greeley. Step in again. Oh, beautifully through. This game on Monday start at 5 a.m. Doesn't finish till after 1 p.m. New Zealand time. The games on Monday start at 5 a.m. and doesn't finish till after 1 p.m. New Zealand time. So what's the problem there? I don't understand the problem. I assume you're saying that like Monday, maybe because I might be working, but I don't think I will be because of the sevens, if that's what you're asking. You're asking in a very roundabout way. Harry Potter is magical, says Dane. He certainly has been the last few weeks, managing to get some spectacular finishes. Of course, that one in the last week's contest up against the Chiefs. So my question is, are you taking... That's a much easier way of saying it. More than likely, yes. We have got there Expecto Patronus. We have a Crusaders, Hurricanes and Chiefs. Says Highlanders. Yeah, it's going to be tough for them. Don't get me wrong. The Highlanders will have to work extremely hard if they want to get into the top 6 from here. But, you know, anything is possible. We've seen sides come back from looking like missing out before. That's a great fend from Carlo Tizzano. Will continue to running forward. He's made a huge... Was that a deliberate knockdown from Bowden Barrett? They might give it as such. Yes, it is going to be the penalty. Now, I don't think this is going to be upgraded for Bowden, but I think it was just a little bit of a mistake there trying to go for the catch. Ended up missing it. Hamish, is this a formality or can the Force surprise? Honestly, the Western Force haven't started this match too badly. And the Blues have been, at times, their own worst enemy this season. So I think that it's not as straightforward as it seems. At the same time, though, if the Blues get their rhythm, they could win this game by 30. Nariki is always injured, says Highlanders. That does make it very difficult when one of your form players and one of the best players down south don't get to play very often because he's normally out with some sort of injury. Now, ready to throw this one in for Nick Dolly. Nicely claimed here for the Western Forces. They make their way just a little bit closer to the try line. They can go from Carlo to Zano. Back across to the right-hand side, Reed Princep. This might be a massive opportunity for the Western Force to score the very first try of this match. 9.5 minutes in at the moment. They are only about 1 metre out from the try line. And surprised no points yet, says Keith Cook. And to be honest, I feel like the Blues might be as well. Oh, Tazzano tried to go for the low slide there. It looks like he has actually knocked that ball on in contact. And they will go back now for the scrum. 5 metres out from their own line, though, for the Blues. And already we have seen some great moments from this forward side. Now, the Blues have had, well, they've had a couple runs with the forwards. I'm trying to think whether or not we've seen, other than just trying to run the ball back after a kick, I don't think we've seen too much of Ioane with the ball. We haven't seen Taeli get a touch. I remember his last game, I think he was looking pretty impressive for the marginal minutes that he gets. Of course, coming from their under-20s All Black side, we saw them in action last night, I believe it was, having a draw up against the Aussies in the under-20 Rugby Championship. But first scrum for the Blues inside of their own territory. Are you watching a TV or computer live game? I'm watching on Sky Sport now on my PC. Just because I can plug my headphones in relatively easily. Now ready to feed this ball in for Taufafunaki. Satutu going to be picking it up off the back, gives it off to Pirafeta. Oh, kick this one downfield once again, doesn't manage to find touch, so Greeley goes across to Beale. Shape for the short side, but he's tackled by his opposite number in this one, Pirafeta. Robertson goes across now to Jeremy Williams, almost locked over the ball, and Patrick Tuipulotu, the man who does get the penalty. I think Jeremy Williams was not happy about that one. He was the man in the breakdown that got the penalty against him for not releasing. But the Blues, once again, they're defending well, which is not unheard of, I guess you could say. But at the moment, it's just been that next step of scoring consistent tries. They have already turned down, I would say, 1 3-point attempt in this game, due to the fact that they wanted to go for the corner. One of my teachers in my school was a Chiefs player. Do you know which teacher? Or were you just told one of them were? Ricky Riccatelli ready to throw this one in. They decide to go to the front to Taufafunaki. Off to Papali'i now, and Taeli with his first touch of the game. Tackled by Carlo Tazzano. Backline movement coming here for the Blues. Passed on the outside to Evans. Does spin around Greeley's tackle, but is dragged out by Quinzel. Well timed from Nick Dolly, tying up Taufafunaki. Been a bit of pressure coming at the moment in the Western Force breakdown. My PE teacher. Is he like Mr. What's his last name? Mr. Someone, I assume it would be, and then that might give us a bit of an idea. I heard Waka TV in South Africa is a pirate system, and people are being arrested now. Are they? I know that was the broadcaster last week that people were saying was an affordable alternative to DSTV. But, yeah, it doesn't sound like it's going too flash for them now. And if they have been taking money, then that's going to be a brutal lawsuit, I would think. Now, backline movement here. Taeli goes straight through. Doesn't pass to Ioane, stepping beautifully, but just dragged down short of the try line. Funaki goes across to Bowden Barrett, who can't quite break his way through. Tuipulotu, bit slow, get into the breakdown. That is a brilliant steal from the Western Force, but there is a knock on. I wasn't going to be the science teacher, and I'll pass the ball. And evening to you, Hammy, says Spider-Meat, welcome in, and yep on the news, says Albert. So that's a big one, isn't it? Because just last week in the chat, I wonder if they were at all associated. I assume that they weren't, but they were saying, yeah, the best way to watch it is Waka TV. And now I guess they will have to get Super Sport. I wonder how they got away with it for so long, though, because, like, in terms of broadcasters, surely DSTV would know that someone else was doing it, wouldn't they? It's like Nick Dolly staying down for a little bit of time. It was a good run from Taeli, but just couldn't quite link up with Rieko Ioane, and those are the type of chances that the Blues cannot afford to miss out on. They've got themselves the scrum here. We'll be about 5 metres out from the line and bomb that opportunity, says Studs Race. He almost turned it into a highlight reel try, stepping back inwards, but in that case, I think that next pass should have just happened. And sometimes, when we look through it a season, I think he's only played 4 games maybe, for Taeli, most of which have been pretty limited minutes. So it does make it hard when you're not considered the starter and then you're kind of thrown into the deep end. So it might take him a half or so just to get the rhythm back. Now Taufa Funaki puts the ball into the scrum. Both sides holding very strong. The Blues trying to get that penalty advantage. Pushed a little bit harder. Short side to Evans. Will be dragged down just short of the try line. And now around the side, it's Marcel Renata, in fact, who has gone over the try line. And Waka basically streamed DSTV illegally over their platform, says Albert. And I assume because they charged as well for it, didn't they? Do you know Robbie Robertson? He was a Chiefs player, now our PE teacher. Oh, so it'd be Mr. Robertson, I assume. Or do you call him Robbie? I feel like as an ex-rugby player, he might not mind first name basis. PE teachers are normally a little bit more chilled out, but that's a good pick and go. Marcel, that's a tricky one, isn't it? Because he's kind of scored the try over the top of Anton Segner, who was in the offside situation, but I don't think he was at all involved. He was just kind of lying there. He was just chilling on the ground. As Will Jordan playing? He won't be playing this week, unfortunately, as the Crusaders have the bye, but I'm sure people will be eagerly awaiting to see that man back. Robbie Robinson was legit great player, says Studs Ray. Now ready to kick this one here. Bowden Barrett. Ooh, okay. Once again, not quite getting it off the kick and tee the way that he would have liked for the first strike of the day, but the Blues have got themselves the try. 5-0 now, the score. To be fair, looking at that angle, Anton Segner was not just lying there. He was holding one of the forced players. That was actually a really dirty move, but it's worked out. They must have cleared it. But yeah, a bit interesting. I don't know whether or not he was trying to say he was part of the breakdown, but I think the less they show that replay, the better, because or else then not good. But it's going to be rolled back now. Taufa Funaki. Go for the kick downfield. Nicely taken by Kurtley Beale. And Blues need a goal kicker, says Spider-Meek. That is one of the big concerns, isn't it? If they do make it through to the top 6, all these points that they've been missing out on. I mean, Pirafeta, to be fair, normally is a pretty decent kicker of the ball. But, it's going to be another knock-on, I believe, against the Western Force here. Will be now scrum feed for the Blues. Will Jordan could be a future PE teacher? Possibly. It was going to be the All Blacks loose forwards against the Box. See, who's going to be and who people want to be, I think, are two very separate things. As, you've got Robertson, so he might look at finding, if Blackadder's fit, he'll probably find a way of putting him in there. So that might look like Wallace Atiti 6, Blackadder 7, Savia 8. That might be the trio that they end up going with. Something along those lines, if it is a Robertson selected one. I think that a couple people wouldn't mind seeing Duplessis Karefi maybe find himself in that trio just after form that he's had for the Canes. It also gives you that extra jackling option, seeing as he does like to get in the breakdowns and look for those steals. Or they might also look at a bigger body in that number 6 jersey. Could go Finau. I guess they might look out a little bit of a slip there for Kurtley Beale, who had Corey Evans all over him, who's managed to get the clean turnover. And now Funaki going across to the right-hand side. Taylor, nice pass this time to Rieko Ioane. Finds Forbes, does cut back inwards, looks for the flick pass and does get it away. 10 metres out from the line at the moment now. Taylor again on the short side, getting wrestled just a little bit closer to the line. Do you think Artie is a flanker? I think that if Artie went to flanker, it wouldn't exactly be a bad option for them, but I just don't see them doing it now. And even for Moana Pacifica, he's been playing number 8, so I think he's just accepted that that is the position that he is. Beauden Barrett, Cole Forbes straight through the middle, and it will be a second try for the Blues. Blues miss far too many penalties and conversions. Can't win games if you miss those, says Spider-Meek. And when you look at their recent results as well, like some of those kicks make a massive difference. And what's your opinion on Les Kiss becoming the Aussie coach? Do you think he can turn Aussie around within 16 months to lead into a home World Cup? It's an interesting one. I don't think anyone saw him getting the coaching gig as late as he's going to. But by the sounds of it, him and Schmidt are going to work together a little bit, and then it's going to be just a smooth transition, which hopefully will be the case. That kick has gone over for Beauden Barrett, making the score now 12-0 for the Blues. So a very good start to this match after finding just a little bit of momentum. Now they're starting to find the try line. Yeehaw, says TH. And this is the opportunity here for the Blues to not just increase that points differential, but also get that bonus point on the board too. Already 20 minutes have passed. Absolutely flying by, but Cole Forbes manages to get himself the try. One of those guys to definitely, I should say, keep an eye on. Now, nicely taken by Corey Evans. Hamish, who will be the All Black 12 and 13. You asked him some very tough questions, Albert, because I honestly don't know, because once again, Robertson, I think, would have a different combo than some people would. Robinson may even go Geordie Barrett, Rieko Ioane again. Now, is that what most people do? Probably not. I think a lot of people would have Proctor in that 13 jersey based off current form. Now, of course, there's a big if there because he's only just come back from a relatively serious injury. I think he's only played 2 games and already looked like the best 13 in New Zealand. Anton Leonard-Brown out with a shoulder injury, so he won't be an option anymore. A lot of the other guys are more 12s than 13s, the likes of Tapia. So, yeah, I think that Proctor, for me anyway, based off form, has to be in there, even though he's had 2 games. I think the biggest test for Aussie will be the Lions test, says Kiwi Rob. I'd love to see Ruben Love as a team for the AB, says Den Fred. I think that he's probably their 3rd choice at the moment in that 10. Well, 3 or 4, maybe 5. Just because I feel like I'd say he's probably the 2nd or 3rd choice fullback as well. So he's right on the verge. I think he does need a couple big games before the end of the season. Oh, quick tap taken by Harry Potter. They've decided to just keep this game flowing here, the Western Force. A night for the injured Highlanders to be out on the prowl by the looks of it. And also Robbie Robinson played 10 and 15 in the Chiefs, says Ilaria. Now going off to the left-hand side. Space here for Harry Potter and just about keeping the ball in the field of play, but then it will be knocked on inadvertently by Ben Donaldson. They do actually have the option of the scrum or the line-out, so they do go the scrum here, the Blues, which it seems like it's going all right for them so far throughout this contest. Not too many massive troubles when it comes to getting those scrums right. That might have almost came off Cole Forbes' hand. Missed 2 conversions, sorry. Missed 1 conversion. It's just updated. I had to shake my mouse a little bit. But yeah, just missing the 1 so far for Beauden Barrett. Lift Rico. Lift Rico, was that a try assist? Proctor's coming for you, says Shane. Yeah, I mean, Proctor, same with Satiti. Those 2 guys who have been, out for so long, to come back and both look like they're just perfectly where they want to be is ideal. I think Robertson won't move too far from last year's selections, and that's the tricky thing, right? Because there's quite a few guys from last season who are out of form. So, it's finding that happy medium of how much loyalty do you show to those guys who were in the ABs last year compared to the best informed team that you can put together from Super Rugby. We have there, do you think Robbie Robinson played 10 and 15? Or do you know him, Robbie Robinson? I do indeed. I thought you were asking if I knew that he played 10 and 15. But then I was going to say you just mentioned it. But I'd assume that most of those ex-rugby guys, as long as the limbs are all still working, they normally keep relatively fit. I mean, you see Richie McCaw still deciding to run a few Ironmans and whatnot. Good afternoon, Hamish. Looking good this weekend. Says JD, nice run down the wing from Harry Potter. What a step that is. Cutting forward. Oh, he's knocked the ball on, though. And at the moment, just the mistakes are flowing for the Force. It's a welcome change for the Blues. Normally, they are the team that are having a few too many handling errors. And who needs to start at 10 for the France test? Honestly, that's a hard one. Because it also depends on who your starting nine is. I think, Roygaard and Barrett might be a decent combo. But then at the same time, I do like the idea of Barrett off the bench up against France to be able to add that little bit of extra oomph later on in the contest. And then you've got Ratama, who last year was actually better at starting than coming off the bench. So I think your combinations are probably Ratama and McKenzie, if Ratama even makes the ABs, which I think he will. And then you've got Bowden and Roygaard. So you got to decide who's starting and who's finishing. And maybe up against the French, even if it is their slightly lower rank side in regards to their players, I think you still want a strong bench because that's something that the ABs didn't really have much. I saw the highlights from Anonu. He's still at it. Or still has it, but you can see he's just 50% of the younger Nonu, says Albert, which is understandable because the bloke's in his 40s. Normally the props can get away with it a little bit longer for being older, but when you're in the back line and you're running in open space, that's where people see the slowness kicking in. Don't get me wrong, he's still quicker than probably 90% of the amateur guys around, but yeah, it's certainly taken a hit on him. Once I was watching a rugby stream from a South African streamer, and for a laugh, put in the chat, there was a big spider on the wall behind him. Did he turn around, Jason? Because that's the thing. If you said that there was one on the wall behind me, I'd think that you could see through my screen because I've got a green screen up. So if you can see through that, I would worry what else you can see through. Nice run from Satutu off the back of the scrum. Once again, the Blues did have it, just 5 metres out from their line. Going back to the right-hand side, nicely taken. Now, Kurtley Bell, short side, goes off to Harry Potter again with a pop pass. How old are you? You look 15. I will take that as a massive compliment. I am 10 years older than that, though. Oh, that's a really ugly one on Evans' knees. Darcy Swain, the dirty bugger. I mean, that's how he got rid of Quinn Tupai, and now he's tried to decapitate the kneecap of Corey Evans. Now, Carlo Tizzano reaches out and scores the try for the Western Force. Okay, can you check it? I just heard through the ref mics that someone feels that there was a knock on, not just Kiwi Rob either. We have the D-Mac on the bench. Bowden start, says Denfred. Good morning, Hamish. What did you think about the Baby Blacks, the New Zealand under-20s performance yesterday against Australian under-20s? First of all, great game to open up the under-20s rugby championship. The fact that it was a draw is pretty awesome. You're grooming, Hamish. Be careful, says TH. We have there, yep, in Africa, we have huge spiders called flatties that are very common sitting indoors on walls. But they are completely harmless, says Albert. So we've got a spider in New Zealand called a daddy longlegs, which is an interesting name in this current day and age. But yeah, it's pretty much the same. Tiny body, big old legs. Right, I think they are just checking this one to see whether or not there was a knock on. We're going to see it. Oh. Did it? Yeah, nah, there was a knock on there from Dolly. Sounds like a huntsman in Australia, says Ash. And dirtiest mofo in the game, says Ash Gamble. Yeah, it was a really bad one. You can argue that he was a part of the breakdown, but he came flying in straight for the knees, which you just don't like to see. And Cam and Barrett is the best combination for France. Both are lethal on attack, says KW. So would you start them or would you have them finishing the game strong for the All Blacks? There's a clear knock on there from Dolly. So, oh no, they actually said it was Tom Robertson initially. And even if Robertson hadn't knocked it on, like I said, Dolly clearly did about half a second later. So there's going to be no try for the Force. It's going to be 28 minutes in at the moment, and they will have to take that one back, making it 12 points to nil. And we have got there, well, Hemi. Was it a try or not? It is no try. I thought they got rid of the scumbag. Liam McDonald is a sellout. What, for taking an overseas coaching role? I don't know whether or not you know this, Kiwi Rob, but most coaches sign contracts that give them money. So if you get offered money, it's no different to a player going overseas. Do you call every guy who leaves New Zealand to play in France, Japan, anywhere else sellouts? Or do you just call them strategic, smart, because they're making money? Who is Cam? Cam Roigard is the one they are talking about. Yep, our Spiders, big Huntsman Spider, throw it at South African guy. He screamed better than women. What a champ, says JD. And that is going to be now another scrum. Yes, says Kiwi Rob. That doesn't surprise me one bit. But the scrum at the moment, I would have to say that the Blues have got a little bit of an advantage here. They are trying to make the absolute most of it. And also we've got, why was the forced try not given? So there was a knock-on. In fact, 2 knock-ons. She needs Red Bulls wings for Rob, says JD. Now sitting about 7 meters out. If you wear a certain color, does it go invisible? It does. I actually have a fully green suit. Or not a suit, but it's actually like a one that goes over your head and everything as well. And I would be able to sit here and you guys wouldn't even see me. Fun fact. But now, passing off to the side, Stephen Perafeta pops it up to Rico Ioane. And that is going to be another penalty going the way of the Blues. Big high five between Segna and Josh Fusitua. At the moment, it just seems to be that Ryan Coxon can't quite get his rhythm here. Full body, yeah, I guess so, in a way. Very protected. Now Beauden Barrett ready to once again kick this one towards the touchline. At the moment, this game is flying by. We're already 30 minutes into the first half. 2 tries. Have you had green eyes? That would look funny. It would. Although I think certain shades of green are okay. They'll be more of a dark green, I guess. So that might not be completely awful. I'm looking for something. This is green. It's a tissue box. But see how it's kind of like, it's not too bad. You can still kind of see the green. It changes colour a bit though. So it's probably lucky that my eyes are only kind of hazel. I should wear that and then hold up a glass, says Nov Mum. If we ever wanted to fake a ghost sighting, be a good way of doing it. Morning, Hamish and everyone, says Kerno Week. Welcome in. And Barrett sold out Hurricanes, says Shane. And why my Sky Sport is broken, says Waves. That is a very good question. Have you tried refreshing it, or is it through the actual TV rather than the apps? The Blues back in possession. Marcel Renata, 40 metres out from the line here for the Blues. Looked like Ioane was getting ready to feed it back, and then Taufa Funaki said, hey, mate, I'm the halfback. Get out of it. Beauden Barrett kicks it down the middle of the field. I see taken by Ben Donaldson. No Sky normally bad, bro. Says TH. But to be fair, it hasn't been too bad through Sky Sport now. And, the only time that we seem to have an issue is actually when there was that one game that everyone talked about when Sky was pretty much down. And then the other ones is when we think that there's going to be a game and it's scheduled and then they don't have it. Can you do a stream with just your head showing? Bit creepy and funny at the same time, says Jason. Perhaps Halloween should be the time to do that one. Although you will definitely have to remind me because we're currently about 5 months away from Halloween, maybe even closer to 6. So yeah, if you let me know 1 week before Halloween, we'll get that going for one of the Halloween streams. We've done a couple Halloween costumes in the past. I think I was Dracula one year. I think I was Santa another. Harry Potter was one too. Now Beauden Barrett going for a 50-22. Curtly Beale tries to take it and he has slipped over, but ball goes backwards. We've seen quite a bit of drop ball here from the Western Force. Beauden Barrett kicking it high again. Evans looking to line it up, but nicely taken by Harry Potter. Speaking of the man that I did not dress up as, but instead the character. He moves up to 22 metres out from the line. Curtly Bell decides he wants to be halfback. Actually set up Henry Robertson big time, who wanted to go for the ball as well. Now Robertson, go off to the left-hand side. Good hands from Jeremy Williams. Goes off to Carlo Tazzano. He's already had a try disallowed today. Darcy Swain, 22 metres out from the line. Donaldson. If they can score before they reach the halftime break, that would be a massive boost for this fourth side. Balaclava could be a winner also. So here's Jason now going back across to the left-hand side. Ben Donaldson goes up to Williams. Oh, Ricky Riccatelli has to get out of that one. Now Hamish Stewart thought about the offload but just leaves it. Go to ground. Prinsep, big shot on him by Ricky Riccatelli. And Fusi Tua up to 9 phases in a row here for the Western Force. Segner thought about going for the interception, but he is stopped as well. Big shot coming in. At the moment, they are just struggling to make their way through the defence of the Blues. Tazzano, pick and go there. Hits into Fusi Tua. Marcel Renata unable to get the steal. Tui Pilotu trying for it, but he doesn't get it either. Dolly now. They're slowly making the metres up to 13 phases. Potter tries to pass. It comes off of Stephen Perifeta, so I believe it will just be a knock-on advantage. Now Darcy Swain. Oh, big shot on Satutu by Prinsep. Ricky Riccatelli rushes up. This is a big phase play at the moment from the Western Force, close to the most that we might even see throughout this game. That's going to be the advantage going against Anton Segner for not rolling away. Now going off to the right. In fact, no, it wasn't just for not rolling away. It was actually also for offside. Now back across to the left. Ben Donaldson tries to chip and Cole Forbes charges it down. Right. 17 phases in a row. Is this where you kick for the corner? I think Beale was pointing for the corner straight away. Even though they are getting fatigued here, the Force, they will know that their opposition are too. Just talking about Harry Potter again. He has had quite the season of Super Rugby. Will Jordan, Kenny Holo, Caleb Tungi Tau, Sever Reese, Ruben Love, Macca Springer, Moni Narawa, Caleb Clark, Timothy Tava Tava Nawai. What is that for? Like just listing all the wingers and fullbacks you can think of? Or is that who you're selecting for the All Blacks? Because if so, I think you've got a few too many. Don't think they'll quite be allowed to take all those guys. All Force for 15 minutes need points. Their Suds race exactly right. They need some form of point, and they've decided that they want more than the 3. Nicely taken by Swain, who was met a little bit early. So that will be a penalty advantage against the Blues. Nice reading, says TH. And my AB squad, do you have any forwards that you're going to go with? Now going off to the right-hand side, picking almost through the gap was Henry Robertson, and they'll go back for another penalty. I don't think Cole Forbes realised there was a penalty advantage. He was celebrating that one. But now again, I think the Force will go for the line out here. Yes, you could go for the quick tap. But I do think getting this ball into touch, going 5 metres out again, I think Tui Pilotu just having a bit of a chat. He has actually been talking to quite a few of the referees over the last few weeks about certain decisions at line-out time against the Blues. Some of them have been pretty strict, so I think he's just getting the rundown day by day to make sure that he knows what the ruling will be. Now ready to throw this ball in for Dolly. Nicely claimed by Jeremy Williams. There was a drop ball, but the penalty goes the way of the Western Force for playing the arm this time. Ryan Coxon needs to calm down. Lachlan McWannell trying to get under his skin, and it's working. If he got him any more worked up, he might have been able to reverse the penalty. Looks like they're going for the corner again, the Western Force, but now they're in that situation of that's now 2 penalties against the Blues in a row at line-out time. So a third one you would think would be definitely the final warning, if not even maybe a yellow card. So far we have seen 5 attempts and the opposition 22, and the Western Force have not scored any of them. Cody Taylor, Simisoni Takiaho, Asafa Moore, my AB's hooker, says Denfred. Now nicely taken again by the Western Force. Blues have been defending the rolling maul quite nicely, the exception of the last couple of minutes. This is now getting very close. Dolly goes around. Who's actually got the ball? It's Carlo Tizzano. And it will be another try now for the Western Force. I thought all the names were the new words to the McDonald's Kiwi Burger jingle. So here's Jason. So Carlo Tizzano, he's got his 12th for the season. 12. He's a number 7. Western Force, I mean, they do find his hands quite often, but it's actually insane how many tries that man has been scoring. And just rolling maul works well. Breaking away to the side. And then, man, just a slide over. Taeli tried to cut him off, but not quite able to do so. But that is a big reward for this Western Force side, definitely after persisting for so long. They needed some form of point, and they got it there. Now, this one, probably about 2 minutes remaining in the first half after this Donaldson kick does go over, so that'll make the score 12 points to 7. This is, once again, a little bit of an interesting patch here for the Blues because they definitely cannot afford to concede now again. Even if it's 3 points, the Western Force will be right back in the contest, but Tizzano being an absolute game changer for them. I hope someone knows that tune. Good old Kiwi Burger. Didn't they do a revamp of it recently? All that looked almost a little bit high from Papali'i, but he's managed to drive Beale into touch with it. Naked Man went to a fancy dress Halloween party with his girlfriend sitting on his shoulders. Dressdall. I was wondering what that word was. Dressdall and Brown, he said, I'm a snail. She's Michelle. Lovely. I feel like we've started the Halloween jokes early now, haven't we? Like I said, we're still about 5-6 months away, but Christmas is almost here. Dalton Papali'i pops the ball up to Ricky Riccatelli. That one's going to be dropped by the youngster Taeli. And the Western Force now attacking from inside of their own 22. Hamish Stewart goes across to Quinzel. Another kick attempted by Kurtley Beale, but he got too much juice on it. Got on the halfway line for the Blues. 50 seconds remaining now. Talfa Funaki going to McWunnell. Now Funaki again goes off to the left-hand side. Giovanni goes to Evans, who tried the kick. And that one's now gone into touch. Michelle equals Michelle. Yep, I did get it. But now 30 seconds. I wonder if the Force would try one more attack here, or whether they'd just be happy enough putting the ball into touch and saying that's the half. Corey Evans just going for that, kicking behind. Lame joke night, is it? Says Jason. Now line out with Nick Dolly. Who's the better team, says SV. I still do think with the lead that they've got, the Blues have been the strongest side. Definitely at scrum time, they've thoroughly impressed me in that element. I do have to say, though, they probably don't have as many tries as they should have at this point of the match. They've had some really good attacking chances. Dolly, he's looking towards the sideline there. I wonder whether or not McWannell goes straight through the middle. Nicely done. Oh, no, it's a tackle, so now he has to get out of it. He never did. They have to let this ball come, and it looks like the Force, they'll just get rid of it. Our outside backs obsessed with chipping ahead. Why not just pass to one of the 4 unmarked teammates? Yeah. It's something that we saw a little bit similar last week, except last week it was the obsession with trying to crash over with the forwards. We saw about 3 or 4 of the New Zealand sides trying it repetitively and getting held up. And just firing the ball out the back line, we were seeing tries being scored. The Blues have some really fast backs, and the Western Force scramble defence has been criticised quite a bit throughout the season, but we just aren't seeing the Blues attempt it that much. So I do think if they can do more of that in the second half, they'll be a lot more effective. I'm watching a guy watching the rugby, says Seth. Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one. I had to explain it to my nana's friends the other day about what exactly it is that we do, and they were confused, to say the least. I thought the Blues will win easily. But no, they're risking their place in the qualifiers, says Mika. Yeah, with only the 3 games left, It's a thing. For the Force, they have got the three, like I mentioned, Brumbies, Fiji and Roa, and the Waratahs. So they've got 3 games up against non-New Zealand sides. Whereas for the Blues, they have got the Fiji and Roa, Moana Pacifica, and the Tars. So they are actually finished in terms of their matches up against New Zealand sides. So they had a really tough start to the season in terms of the New Zealand derbies that were taking place. Now, this is where they have to start to make up that ground. And as you can see, like, they came in as quite heavy underdogs here up against the Force. And I don't... that's the thing, though. They haven't played bad. Like, it's actually been a relatively decent half, I would argue, for the Blues. But, yeah, it's a tricky one, that is for sure, in terms of whether or not they're going to find a way of securing that bonus point. That's the big one. With the way that the table sits currently, yes, you can get a win, but a win here for the Blues, if they were to win it by a little bit, you know, they're more than likely looking at 7th. That is if all the other results go their way throughout the weekend too. You know, if the Highlanders can somehow get a bonus point win over Moana Pacifica or vice versa, they would go ahead of the Blues if they were victorious here. Whereas the Western Force, if they win this game, they are almost, not quite though, but they're getting a lot closer to the playoffs. Top 6, I should also mention, do go through. The 3 top sides have the home final in the playoffs. And then, of course, the winners of those 3 games, that confirms 3 spots. And then alongside that, whoever was the highest ranked loser, they will go through to the semis with a bit of a second chance, per se. These are also next week's games for anyone who is wondering. And we have good there, mute the TV, listen to your commentary, and get distracted by the comments section, says Studs Race. And also we have got there as the smallest Blues crowd this year. It definitely doesn't look like the best one, sadly. And well, I wish I watched the game live, but listen to your commentary. I thought the Blues would win huge here. Guy went to a fancy dress party naked with his tackle in a bowl of cream. And Glaze, what the hell are you doing? Asked the host. But I'm confused by that one, Ash, I'll be honest. And up the laners, says William. And they've lost their mojo and forced do it for the people, says Hensel. That's the thing, like I said, big upset if the Force can somehow get through and win this contest. At the moment, heading into the second half, the Force are $6.50 underdogs, so not massively out of this game as of yet. We have good there. Who does everyone got in the grand final? Mine is Chiefs Crusaders. See, I feel like it won't be a mile off. And I don't want to jinx anything, but I do think that both those teams, they should be through to the semis. And I do think at least one make it to the final. There might be an upset in one of the semis, perhaps. Highlanders versus Moana Pacifica should be the game of the round due to both teams being unpredictable, yet electrifying at the moment, says Jason. And that's going to be a tricky game because as much as I want to cover it, at the point that takes place, I would have been up for about 26, 27 hours doing the all-nighter for the Sevens, the Challenge Cup, and the Champions Cup. So it's going to be one of those games that maybe we miss and have to watch a bit later on after waking up for more Sevens and Challenge and Champions Cup. And Chiefs look real good, says SV. Yeah, the Chiefs are looking the real deal. The Crusaders the same. Like, they've made vast improvements compared to last year. Crusaders for me, close, but the Crusaders for me, says Hensel. And just showing their territory, 66%. Actually in favour of the Western Force. That's quite an interesting one. And almost double the tackles made by the Blues. So fatigue could be a real thing that sets in throughout this contest. And if that happens, maybe momentum slowly shifts towards the Force. Skip the Sevens. The new format sucks. Killing the game of Sevens for me, says Hensel. Yeah, it's awful, the new format, to be honest. But this leg of the Sevens anyway is still, like, it's still worth doing just because we at least get to see the champions crowned and whatnot. But yeah, I do think that they've ruined it a little bit. I was going to make a video about 3 weeks ago saying about the problems with the Sevens. And that was before they came with the bombshell of what they've announced now. So, yeah, it's a very interesting one. We have got there, it's 4 a.m. here watching rugby in a country no one even knows rugby exists. So which country is that, SV? Do let me know. 4 a.m. you'd almost be North America, maybe? Or maybe South America with a time zone like that. Or maybe Asia. I'll tell you what, my time zones suck. I can tell you that right now. Hurricanes are just waking up now. Watch out for them. Says Patrick Islanders by 17. I'm picking though. Oh, what's happened to the 7? Sorry, wasn't paying attention. Says Studs Race. So pretty much they've changed it so that rather than it being 12 teams on the circuit, next year it's cutting down to 8. They're having the top 8 from this season. They play off in one division. Then there's 6 teams, I believe, in the second division. And then there's 6 or 8 teams in the third division. So pretty much what's happening is they're separating all the teams. The teams outside of the top 8 only get to play 3 legs of the regular season, and then it all comes together as a playoff. Like, I don't understand why they couldn't just stick to 16 teams and then have it bottom 2 sides get relegated. That's so easy and literally all you need. That way you keep all the good sides that bring in the crowds on the 7 circuits, the likes of Kenya, because as soon as you drop Kenya into the second division again, those numbers are gone, and then they'll complain that there's no one watching 7s, and it's not because of the format, it's because of the terrible decisions they're making with what teams are in and out and how often they change the rules. How the Hurricanes doing? Any Barretts playing for them? Old fan of the Canes, so no Barretts at the moment, but they are sitting 5th. After getting the win over the Brumbies last week, they were the first New Zealand side to have a win in Australia this season, and the fact that we're up to pretty much round 11 tells you how well some of those sides have been doing. They are just showing their Western force as well as, in fact, both stats. Possession and territory, they are both in the lead, but they are not in the lead at the moment. They have got anytime try scorer for Harry Potter. It does seem like a decent option because of the way that he has been going. North American Eastern. So he has SV there. So it's definitely not as well known in North America as of yet. But hopefully with the World Cup coming up and also the Olympics in 2028, I believe, going to be in the USA. So that should hopefully help a little bit too. I saw Reddit yesterday and I just don't understand the thinking of how it grows the game. Yeah, see, the problem that they have is they've said that all of the big investors and all the people who wear the suits and know that they're like in charge, they've all said that it's a great system. But the problem is they're just ignoring everything that the Sevens audience has said and doing the opposite, as if to just say, hey, look, we're in charge. And no one speaks about rugby here. Says SV, there's a little bit of everything, which is probably why people come back, because it's just not stock standard. Like, yes, we get a little bit of commentary in there, but like I feel like a lot less people would stick around if I was just a robot and only talked about what's happening on the field. We have got there Harry Potter with the magic for the Force, says Enzel, and I expected those percentages to favour the Blues, says TH. Yeah, honestly, like the Blues had some really good moments throughout that first 20 minutes, even when they did squander certain opportunities, but then the Force in the second quarter kind of brought it back a bit. One moment, I'm about to sneeze, so I will quickly mute. There we go, we are good. I actually heard my mum sneeze pretty much at the same time too, so that was a bit of a weird coincidence. How's it, Bruce? Says JG, welcome in. We are doing extremely well. Got plenty of action throughout the weekend, including the Sevens. We got a bit of Champions and Challenge Cup. Western Force for the surprise victory. Honestly, it could happen. Like, they are looking pretty decent throughout this first half, and the Blues were nowhere near as clinical as they would have liked to be. Taking hits from the bong again. Says Seller, not that I know of. The only thing I got down there is a drink bottle, which I know some people do turn into those recreational devices, but I just like them for holding liquids. Water, that is. Are you concerned about the Blues line-out? There's some rugby chat, says Studs Race. It's given away a few penalties recently, and I do think that might be down to just they're right on the line of what's legal and what's not when it comes to their line-out, and I think that's why Tui Pelotu has to talk with the referees so much, just trying to learn whether or not they're going to be penalised. But like when they get it right, they can be a very effective line outside, but it's just every once in a while, like they just seem to do basics at the line out wrong. I watched in the first half, Barrett and Perifeta kicking game. The Force have a dynamic winger. Why are they kicking the ball so Force can run it back? Brain dead, says Brian. Yeah, I think both sides have actually been a little bit too kicky off the boot. Curtly Beale, he's come back in and just decided that he wants to boot everything that he touches. And it hasn't really boded well. But then that's the thing. They've had more possession, more territory. So you could argue that it is kind of working for them. But yeah, I agree. The Blues have got a world-class backline that they just need to use. And when viewing numbers for the Sevens drop and marketing dollars leave, then who are they blaming? Fans? They are not, or they have not thought this through. Yeah, they're honestly killing their own competitions. And more people are saying, well, the Indian Sevens is coming soon, which is supposed to be like a pretty eventful league type situation, because I think it's just because they're trying to cater to an American audience in terms of promotion, relegation, trying to interest like that regard, but it just doesn't work. In the world of sevens, like people don't want to see the same sides playing each other week in, week out, because I mean, look at the women's sevens at the moment with Australia and New Zealand in every single final. Like people like variety, they like seeing those upsets. And it just seems like it's not the right choice. What's your thoughts on this game final score? I do think we're going to have a higher score in second half than the first. And I do hope that that is the case. You know, a few more tries. Never hurt anyone. Never be afraid to go too far. The truth shall set you free. Says Sal, and Hamish likes sushing fries and plays cricket. Where'd that go? Cricket. So definitely not one-dimensional, says Jason. And we have get there, Kia ora, says Jeb, welcome in. And Bill OMG, Force being like a paleontologist digging up all the fossils. Well, the thing is, I don't actually, this might not be a popular opinion, I don't think they needed Curtly Beale in this backline. Like, Greeley's been doing really well at 15. Quinzel's been looking pretty decent out on the wing. Maybe there's they had the suspension, didn't they, of C.O. Tompkinson, so that meant that they had to reshuffle, but I don't know. Is it New Zealand Australia's fault for being so good, though, when it comes to women's sevens? No, not real. Like, you know, it is what it is in terms of that side of things. But, like, surely they can at least see that and go, okay, some people aren't showing as much interest because it's same teams each week. How can we change that? How can we make sure the men's game doesn't fall into that same boat? Because only having 2 groups in the men's sevens next year, I can tell you right now, it's not going to grow it. It's going to plummet it. But, you know, we've seen it kind of grow back up after the Olympics, and now we're going to see it plummet back off. And hopefully they also see those numbers and decide it's not the best idea. Bill brings a match-winning player whenever nobody expects it. That is also true. Can have some absolutely game-changing moments. Say it is using O'Connor's well at depth in tight situations where game management is key, says Ash Gamble. And with the injury of Taha Kamara recently, I think O'Connor's going to be used that little bit more as we get closer to those playoffs. And the Sevens tried to chase new audiences at the expense of traditional ones, but it hasn't really worked. Yeah, the thing is, I think they thought it was going to be a lot easier, and they've said that in the long term it's going to pay off. But like long term, it might also make it so that those regular viewers kind of disappear, which I hope isn't the case, because I do love a bit of sevens. But yeah, I certainly read that and went, why? That's pretty much the gist of it, but nicely taken by Darcy Swain, just outside of the 22, and we are back underway for the second half of this contest, ladies and gentlemen. Western Force currently down by 5. They did score late in the half, but Carlo Tazzano got his 12th try of the season. I'm not sure who that was over the ref's mic, but all I could hear was, that's illegal, that's illegal. I'm not too sure who it was actually screaming it out. I think the World League idea is stupid for the 15s, says Kiwi Rob. I mean, the Club World Cup, on paper, it's a lovely idea, but it just doesn't really fit. And then, like you've said, the World League side of things, how it's just the top 12 sides playing each other. Like, they actually don't have a bad system at the moment. And international rugby, I thought, was doing pretty well, but they've decided that they need to find another way of giving out more trophies. And I don't know why. Like, it kind of, like, it's like the Cricket World Cup. It feels like, oh, that's a nice ball. Is that AJ Lamb? AJ Lamb's off the bench this game. Why wasn't he in the starting lineup if he was match fit? He scored a try, but I thought he was out with some sort of injury or something that took him out of the lineup. But he's back and he's happy. And he's just scored the try 90 seconds into the second half. I can't believe he's still allowed to play, says Ash for Darcy Swain. Yeah, I mean, he had a big shot earlier on at someone's knees. That's a good attack and run from Rieko Ioane initially, but I couldn't believe my eyes that I saw AJ Lamb hanging out on the wing, waiting for his opportunity to run forward, and he did just that. Managed to score himself the try. Blues will be happy, and yeah, Blues. And now, looks like already we're seeing a little bit more of an up-tempo from the Blues for the second half, and Nariki never got injured. Do you think he would be in the ABs? It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because Caleb Clark, I feel, would have probably had first nod over someone like a Nariki for a little while. But, yeah, he might have found himself in there eventually. But, yeah, nicely done. So I think they've actually said that AJ Lamb came on for the injured Blues player. DS is about the only player I do not like. So that's Darcy Swain. Then that'll be also down to the Quinn Tupaia clean out as well. Like, people do not forget when you try and end a guy's career, or at least try and ruin his legs. Who's Gareth? Says JD. Which Gareth? The great Gareth Edwards. It's the best player in the world has ever seen. Says Kevin. He was a little bit before my time, if I'm honest, in terms of, like, the best moments of his career. So I probably can't judge too much. Enrico should move back to the wing, says KW Stanley. Kick down the middle of the field from Bowden Barrett. Currently a score sitting 19 points to 7. We have the USA Rugby stats driven by youth and high school and college programs. So yeah, I guess the promotion relegation was supposed to be a way of kind of boosting that up. But the thing is, rather, like, the system that they've made it so that the USA 7 side, rather than being in, oh, that's a cross kick from Bowden Barrett, and Rico can't quite bring it in, drives it into touch. But yeah, like, the USA, rather than just being in the second division if they lose a couple of their games and being on the Challenger Series, now there's a chance that the USA could be on Division 3, which means by the Olympics, they'll be really struggling to even be on the main circuit. So it's going to be very hard to push the home narrative of the USA Sevens now that they've lost a couple guys, the likes of Perry Baker, Carla Niles, he's been out for a while. But, like, you know, once you lose those guys and you lose their spot on the World Series, like, that normally loses all momentum. Now, kicking it downfield will be Corey Evans. Obviously taken by Kurt Leibel. Now decides to kick it high. That wasn't much of a line change from Corey Evans. So it is going to be a play on. Bowden Barrett once again goes for the kick, and that's going to go straight into the hands of Harry Potter. 2 try assists as from the Blues 13. So that would be Rieko Ioane. Nicely taken. And one's close to the sideline, and they do decide against letting it go into touch there for Kurt Leibel. Another tackle made by Cole Forbes. Moment for the Western Force. It seems to be just that one pass that they aren't quite able to get through. Simply out of this world, says Kevin. Nice tackle from Papali'i. Now off to the left. Donaldson, quick hands. That might be deliberate. Knocked down. No, it's just called as a knock on from Rieko Ioane. Was in the process of the tackle. Back across to the right, Dolly pops the ball up. Donaldson now goes across to Robertson. That's head on head between Tui Pelotu and Robertson, and that doesn't look too good for Tui Pelotu. Bit slower getting back to his feet there. Still on the side of the Force, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tui Pelotu goes off for an HIA in the relatively near future. Ready to put this ball high again for Henry Robertson. Barrett, taken in the air by Harry Potter and the referee Ben O'Keefe. Right, this is double blow of the whistle. This is not for the clean out on Bowden Barrett though, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that this is going back for the TMO check of the Patrick Tuipulotu head-on-head collision. Penalty only for contact in the air against Harry Potter there, but I think we're about to find out whether or not Tuipulotu is going to be in trouble. Oh, if you never heard of him, that means you don't read at all, says Kevin Davis. Gonna see it now. Okay, they're checking the potential foul play. This isn't actually the one that I think they're looking at. So Tuipulotu was in the way of Potter, which does mean that it might end up being obstruction against Tuipulotu. Yeah, Tuipulotu having a couple bad moments in a row. I thought that they were going upstairs to actually check that one prior where he had head-on-head with Robertson, but that one, I think, gets snuck under the radar. Right, there's contact in the air. Okay, so Tuipulotu tried to say he was looking straight at Bowden Barrett, and the referee said you are still in front. We have there, come on ladies, keep the chat friendly, says TH. That's wrong decision, says Kiwi Rob. I still want to see that Tuipulotu one on Robertson again. Because I think that Tuipulotu, yes, he gave away the penalty there, but I actually think he's still a little bit, or at least it looked like he was a little bit slow getting back up to his feet. Carlo Tizzano, already on a season record for the most tries for, I think it's a Western Force forward. I'm not sure whether or not it's a back as well. It honestly could be, though. And that's a very early take there from the Blues in terms of closing the gap at line-out time. So another advantage in favour of the Force. A little bit of push and shove off the ball as well by the looks of it. Donaldson now going for the cross kick, I should say. Goes to Greeley, flicks it out the back for Beale, who does score the try for the Force. And they get back into this contest. First game back. Does get the try in the corner. That's awesome, says Thuds Rays. Now, once again, the Blues have definitely not got a seal on this game. I can tell you about Jack Dempsey, who was World Heavyweight Champion 50 years before I was born. And Danny Craven also a long time before my time. See, as soon as you said Jack Dempsey, I was thinking of the Scottish number 8, or I think he plays for Glasgow at the moment, doesn't he? Player was in front of the kicker. Says Kiwi Rob. Why we have a ref for Hammy if TMO interfere? Says Spider Mech. It's normally the TMO is there to make the decisions that the referee misses. So in that case, he did give it as like the original penalty to the Blues for that first play, and then they learnt that there was the obstruction there. Ben Donaldson, most points, or in fact second most, for this season, and that is a great strike of the ball again. And that is going to make the score 19 points to 14. And Brian need Blues to win by 8 for table purposes, says Highlanders. And Bill, there was his match play well. He just looped around the back. But a Donaldson brilliance to get it across. Does Kiwi Rob ever not complain? No, but you'll learn that. Actually, no, to be fair, when the Blues aren't playing, he's not too bad. Normally he's more so about what's happening in the rugby and whatnot. I can tell you about Jack Johnson beating on Jim Jeffries, says Drape. And Blues for the spoon, says Ash. It's going to be kicked high by the Western Force, setting up and slapped backwards for the Western Force. 49 minutes in, and score currently only separated by the 5, the same margin that we had the start of the half. By playing with 5, the Blues will lose, says Micah. Kicked high by Bowden Barrett. Chasing after this one. Wanted to line it up, but it's nicely claimed. And a big shot. Coming in by the Forces teammates. I think it was actually Beale who got in there. help him get to ground. All 4 supporters type Sheila, says JG. Now Robertson. I'm back across to the right-hand side. We're only 49 minutes through, so we've actually still got 30 minutes left. Papali'i looking for the steal. In fact, this time it was Ricky Riccatelli. Sheila says JG. Surely we've got more than just JG going for the Western Force here. Nice big shot on AJ Lamb. Good evening, Hamish. I hope you had a great week, lads. Says Blues Nate. It certainly went quick. It feels like only just a day or two ago that we were doing all those live streams, and now we're already here at the next weekend. We've got plenty more coming up as well. Sevens, Champions Cup, Challenge Cup, Super Rugby. All taking place. Come on, 4, says Antoine. Now, nice wide pass out to Cole Forbes. He's got the man on the inside. Rico Ioane. Why did he chip that, though, is my big question. And Donaldson manages to clean it up, slips and slides back into the in-goal area. But is that one of those moments that they could have just looked to pass it through their hands? Oh, we have good there, Drape. We were lucky to see fighters like Ali and Fraser. It was a cutout pass initially, I think, from Satutu. And it just doesn't quite sit up for Taili. And kicked it again, says Studs Rays. And yeah, I agree, time's flying right now. And who do you think will be the Wallabies 10? Honestly, I don't think Donaldson will be a mile off. Liner as well as a great option. JOC if he comes back. I honestly think those are your 3, although like Lolesio will probably still be there, but he's going overseas, isn't he? So I don't know whether or not they'll still select them. Let's win this Western Force, says JD. We need to try Rico and Barrett. Stop kicking so much, says Shane. Although big opportunity here for the rolling scrum of the Blues to perhaps push towards the try line. I know I see this weekend gives me another week to enjoy last week's result. Says Fleshin. It was a big one, that is for sure. And could be the crucial points that they do need. Now rolling maul again here. That ball's there for Taufa Funaki, who just knocked it on there, didn't he? I'm sure he dropped that ball. Cole, they're going on the outside. AJ Lamb will get this try, but I'm sure Taufa Funaki tried to regather that, dropped it forward, and then passed it. We might see a replay here, but either way, they're either in a very good position to score or they just did. And AJ Lamb would have a second try if it is going to be awarded. Yeah, that's a knock-on from Taufa Funaki in the breakdown, I believe. In fact, it might have been Satutu, my apologies. But AJ Lamb does finish that one off. Must have been seeing things. But yeah, that looked like a pretty obvious knock-on. Unless they're trying to say that he controlled it into his foot. Oh, no. What's Ben O'Keefe doing? They're just waiting. They are going to come check. It's a clear knock-on. I don't know how they missed it in live play. So they're going upstairs. They just want to check for the potential knock-on and fair try, no questions asked, says Spider-Mick. I think this replay will show otherwise. Check, says Suds Rays. Right, they're checking the potential knock-on from Taufa Funaki here. So it goes off. He does get the ball, and they already had the penalty advantage anyway. So that is something. So it's gone back. Then from there, hits his foot. And then, yeah, he's refumbled it a little bit there, Taufa Funaki, unfortunately for him. And then, yeah, just knocks it on there through the fingertips of Taufa Funaki. Although, are they going to try and say that maybe there's a little bit of something touching the whole time? Okay, Stephen Donald in the commentary box. He's been a very popular man as of late. He just said you can't say that's not a knock-on. Okay. They've said there's separation for Taufa Funaki. Yeah, no hands on that one, unfortunately. So that will be no try. We'll get their greatest boxer of all time, the great Sugar Ray Robinson. Says Kevin. With so many All Blacks, why aren't they opening Up the Western Force, says Albert. Well, it's just been the Blues season summarised, I guess you could say. Although, in their defence, in terms of so many All Blacks, they do only have, I think, 3 or 4, maybe 5 at a stretch in this lineup. Are they still fuffing about? Yeah, they decided to look at it 15 times, and Great Scarlets win. Going to rewatch that game if I get time. His fingers still touch the ball, says Spider-Meek. Yeah, he was close to having control of it. Unfortunately, though, just not quite in complete control. But they will still go upstairs. They will still have the penalty, I should say. 2 weeks of partying until URC starts up. Says Blues Nate. It's a bit ironic because we're actually probably going to have the same amount of games outside of the URC being on as we do when the URC is on. But Nick White making his way onto the field for the Western Force, so that is the change. Last time we saw him, he was knocked out on the field. He will be back after that mandatory 2-week stand down. On saying that, Beaver for Prime Minister, Ray Robinson and Floyd Patterson, mad skills, and praise only means something when it's others giving it to you. If it's only you praising yourself, then it isn't really praise, just you being a blow-ass, says Jason. Is that like a bit of like motivational speaking, or was there someone who said something, Jason? Best place for him, says Ash. And now, scrum feed again here. This one holding a lot more solid for the Western Force, so they will have to use it now. Xavier Taili almost going through. Now pick and go. Mr. Satudu McWano is over. And it will be another try now for the Blues. That is the much needed one that will separate them there. Oh, hang on. Oh no, let him out is what it's called. From Ben O'Keefe. I thought for a second we were going to have a look at that one too. But no, they say McWano got it cleanly. He's just thrown himself forward there. Lachlan McWano. That's a big carry indeed. You can tell people you're good at something, but people will tell you if you're great at something, says Drape. And I thought this weekend with URC Super Rugby and Sevens, Paul Hamish, says Blues Nate. So yeah, the only thing that we don't have is the URC, but instead we're doing Champions and Challenge Cup. Oh, awkward one there. I don't know what that technique was from Cole Forbes. Tried to kind of control the ball with his legs. And too big, too strong, says TH. I made some dollars on a couple Scarlets games this year, a couple of bucks. Versus Edinburgh, if I recall correctly, says Studs Rays. A kick downfield for Taufa Funaki. Alexander Usyk, undefeated, undisputed. Let's go, Parker, says Shane. As always, Hamish, he smashed it all out. Hopefully, we do get through all of the... I think we've got 2 all-nighters coming up. So that'll be fun. Donaldson kicks a high, 25 minutes remain. A little bit of a slip there for Corey Evans, and Potter does slot it back into the hands of Carlo Tazzano. Now, off to the left-hand side. About 25 metres out from the line. Oh, Stewart, who knew who was getting that pass? No one by the looks of it in the Western Force back line. Darcy Swain does give the ball up. Now it's taken by Rico Ioane. Scarlets played a university team. Leinster C team, but enjoyed Scarlets fans, says Albert. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, they only could face what was in front of them, and what was in front of them was an opportunity to get to those quarterfinals. And with that win, it might be the difference for them. So, you know, they might find themselves up against Leinster in the very near future for the playoffs, but they would at least be through. Now it's going to be a Blues line out. Oh, sounds like a couple changes about to be made. Corey Evans, or I should say AJ Lamb, has already made his way onto the field, and they went with a 6-2 split today, which means everyone else who is still on the field will be staying out. There looks like a couple changes. Berry makes his way on for, I think that's for Lachlan McWano, a little bit unlucky for the man who just got himself the try. And Marcel Renata also will make his way off. Ta'aval makes his way on. That's my favourite saying to certain people at work, says Jason. And also force your way to the Blues try line, guys. The only way to win, says Davida. Now, hands of Josh Fusitua. So he will get to play just a little bit longer than Renata. If the Blues want a bonus point, they would have to score one more try and keep it that margin of 3 tries ahead by the end of the game. That one's going to be knocked back by AJ Lamb, although now it is loose. Berry tries to clean it up. Choke does the same, but Potter will get that ball. Bounces awkwardly there. So Tutu ends up slapping it back for the Blues. We have got the URC as a lowly comp after all. Says Shane, I don't think that anyone took Stephen Donald's comment too seriously, did they? In terms of the comment on the URC. And Papali is playing well here. Says Studs Rays. He's just been going about his work, hasn't he? He hasn't done anything like absolutely crazy in terms of open play, just making his tackles, getting those occasional moments in the breakdown, forcing opportunity. They're showing at the moment the way that the table sits. The Blues would be in 8th. Refresh your score. Says James, one moment, we'll go like this, we'll go like that. There we go. You knew that those 2 extra points might be crucial, and they may just as well be for this Blues side. In terms of that points differential, currently it does sit with minus 25. The way that it does sit. But now, chance here for Taufa Funaki. Mike Tyson will always be my favourite boxer. Changed the game for sure. So here's Jason. Feeding the ball. No, we don't get to see it. We get to see another scrum reset. It's a good position on the field. I'm wondering whether or not maybe a Bowden Barrett snipe could be on the cards here. Maybe first they go to Taili, then work it from there. Bowden Barrett wide-eyed in that number 10 jersey. I've just said there, Nick White and Harry Potter, the only two on one side. Beaver Piemi knows better than any rugby kick. He kicked a winning goal, so I will take his word over some sad sacks without a World Cup. Says Drape. And Leinster is Ireland. Ireland beat All Blacks often, so URC can't be too bad. Donald. Says Albert. Oh, and that is going to be another free kick now. So Tutu decides to take it off the back quickly. Dangerous tackle there coming from, you guessed it, Darcy Swain. So it's going to be the advantage against this side. Here comes Bowden Barrett looking both ways. Goes for the cross kick there out to Cole Forbes. Bounces up for him. He slips, but he scores it anyway. Very nicely done by the Blues. But yeah, who else but Darcy Swain to be doing a chopping at the legs tackle? It's not his first one in this contest, but it's the first that he's being pulled up for. And the Blues, with the advantage, get themselves their 5th try. That also puts them in the position of a bonus point. Now we have their fight of the century between Kitiona Lave and Wolf. And Yay tries, says Spider Mech. And yeah, baby, says TH in there, but Cole Forbes gets over the line. I believe that is his 2nd try of the contest, if I'm not wrong. What a try, says Keith Cook, and a much needed one for the Blues. Now that lead's starting to build into the last quarter of the contest as well. It's a grand day here as well. Looking forward to it, says Fleshin. That one has gone over. And that will now make the score, as we currently sit, 33 points to 14. James, you're right about Oz team struggling in New Zealand, says Albert. I mean, in certain regards, like certain sides have done extremely well in those tight games. Like the Brumbies, for one, have come to New Zealand and really put a bit of a statement in. But I did say earlier on about the table, how it would shape differently by the end of the comp than what it did the 4 Aussie sides near the top, and I still stand by that one. How's the weather where you are? Hamish, disaster here. At the moment, we're 8 degrees Celsius, but we only got a little bit of rain today, I think. So nothing too crazy compared to some of the other places at the moment. And that one's going to be kicked high. Oh, nicely taken by Harry Potter again. Sad sacks, the Norse people, not you, Hammy. I love your rugged knowledge, says Drape. Is it necessary to fire shots at another hemisphere, though? We were talking about it last week, how for some reason nowadays you can't, like, in terms of people seem to love praising one person by saying that someone else is worse than them, like rather than just praising the guy. It's the same as like I saw in the international rugby group chat that I'm on for Facebook, which I go on occasionally just to see what the word is. This week it's been that Sasha Feinberg Ngomezulu is better than Antoine Dupont. And rather than just saying Sasha is a different position and an absolute superstar in that 10 jersey at the moment, and Dupont's also an extremely good player, apparently we have to try and put one player down to raise another one up. Don't worry, the news is wrong. The weather is just normal in Wellington, says Keith Cook. That's how we roll. Enjoy the moment. Flesh and cheers, says Blues Nate. Our Irish rugby is still strong. 80% of the Lions will be Irish, says Shane. I think they are just showing that it is a Western Force line out, about 10 metres out from the line. Andrew's all from Wanganui. Sorry, I was late. Great job, coach. Says Alan. We have there so much for my way off comments. Says Dion Sands, now nice attacking from the Force. That one has been sacked legally by Patrick Tuipulotu. Bit of a slip there for Dolly. The Force wouldn't mind getting one more try this point in time. Now Nick White. Going back across to the left-hand side to Darcy Swain. The best fight I ever saw was Foreman knocking out Michael Mora in the 12th round. Now White onto the left-hand side. If the Force score now, the Western Force would lose their bonus point. Or at least just for now. Now to Zano. That was close, but there's another penalty advantage against the Blues. Just out from their own line. I think this one's going to shift away to the side if they don't score it with the forwards. Here we go. Nick White goes across to Donaldson. Bill Quinzel. Oh, he's dropped it. So they'll go back for another penalty. Taufa Funaki kicks it away as he did not want the chance of a quick take there. And now another situation does arise for the Blues defensively. I don't think they got a warning for that one. I assume they won't be too disappointed about that one, the Blues. That is now their 7th penalty that they have had against them. Ben Donaldson again will kick this one towards the touchline. So another penalty here and might be a little bit closer to something more serious. Nick Dolly looks like he is getting a bit of medical attention on his knee, which is already extremely heavily strapped. And looks like now Kurt Eklund and Mason Tupaia they'll both make their way onto the field. 16 minutes left. Blues still do have the bonus point as we currently sit. Could be absolutely crucial for those last couple of rounds. This is the way that the table sits at the moment, ladies and gents. The Blues, they were in 9th heading into this contest. If they do win this game by the margin that they are at the moment, they will move up into 7th. In fact, they would move up into 6th if they get themselves the bonus point, as their points differential will be better than the Western Force. So a massive bit of ground to be climbed. It would be the first time that they've been in the top 6 for quite some time too for the Blues. So they'll definitely want to get their odds on Eklund getting a team yellow. He's normally wrong place, wrong time, isn't he? Eklund likes to really be on the line. Rolling more at the moment, being well defended by the Blues. Eklund trying to slow that one down. The rolling more momentum. Bit of a rough pass to Stewart. Gets the bounce pass from Nick White. And Blues look good. The suck's not getting weather. Says Allen. Now popped up for the replacement, Atumoli. I believe most refs don't really like the Blues for some reason. I mean, they're an easy side to penalise because they do have a lot of infringements against them. Like, they are a side that draw the line very close to what's legal and what's not, and that can be an extremely effective tool. Like we saw last year, they were able to really push hard in those moments and those breakdowns and, eventually win the title. But this year, I feel like they haven't been as subtle with it, and the referees are really keeping a close eye on them. Now going off to the side, Kurtley Bell with a pass on the outside. Finds, I believe that is the replacement 23. George Pullman, I think he's about 6'2", 6'4". He's a hard man to put down. Nick White, going off to the right-hand side again. The Hurricanes will win tomorrow. You watch. Says Patrick. 2 quick tries and then a game-winning last-minute try in the 82nd. Go Sheila. Says JG, and then is going back for another penalty against the Blues. This time for offside. Sorry, I meant the Blues. I'm truly sorry. Says Allen. And go hard, cousin Mason Tupaia. I won a Super Rugby title before Quinichi Macy. What's up, everyone? Seems like the Blues are too strong. Yes, says Andrew. They've been a lot better this week than they have been. Well, that's the thing. They've been really strong. In fact, you'd almost say they were stronger in their game up against the Crusaders, but sadly did suffer the defeat. They've had a couple other really close games that they get just away, like 1 or 2 points away from winning. It's cool with us Northerners, Hamish. There's always the odd hater. Personally, I reckon the haters are more to be pitied than scolded. I believe in live and let live. God bless the South. Says Kerno Wick. Now rolling ball. That was almost juggled by Atumoli, who was actually the guy that they decided to pick up and throw at the line. Nick Dolly. This is a very tough predicament there for the Blues. I think he might have been almost down. Where's the ball? Right. They're going to have to check this one. The Blues might have done enough by the sounds of... Well, the Force aren't celebrating, the Blues aren't celebrating, so no one's really happy, it would seem. On-field decision is try, though. He's got a grounding, says Ben O'Keefe. And to be fair, Nick Dolly was down flat, so maybe just short of the line. Could have gone forward, something like that. Knock on from the jumper, says Tui Piloto, although I think they did say that Atumoli ended up knocking that one backwards. Oh no, they are checking this one of Atumoli to see if it was knocked on. Oh. Okay, they aren't checking for what I thought they were checking for. They're not checking for a knock on, they're checking for obstruction. Josh Berry, I think, is the one that they're... Oh, no, sorry, they're looking at Darcy Swain. It looks like he was maybe in front. So, I think that this is going to be the technical no try, which we have seen time and time again throughout this season. I think the craziest thing about that one is with how strictly they're policing it now. In the old days, even like 5 years ago, or even less than that probably, the amount of rolling maul tries that are scored in that exact same fashion is actually huge. But he comes up, it's whether or not he's the first contact, and he is in front of Atumoli. But it's a very tricky one. And honestly, we've seen them go both ways. My Spider Sense says no try, says Spider Mech. If the Blues did it, would they have said maybe yes to the senses, Spider Mech, out of curiosity? I think they're saying it's a try. Right, Ben O'Keefe says we don't need to check the grounding as I've got the grounding. So it's going to be on-field try. Tui Piloto asking the question, which is a fair enough one to ask because it is one of those scenarios where, like I said, we've seen them given, we've seen them disallowed. In this case, the try is awarded. Yep, that's the rules this week. Says Studs raised and short line momentum carrying him over. Yes, says Alan, but that is now going to take away the Blues bonus point just for now, ladies and gents. Still another 8 minutes to work with too. .37 metres out. And not only are the Force back taking away the bonus point, they're actually back into this game. Still 12 minutes left. Donaldson can strike this one nicely. Be back to 12 points. I shanked it. So that's going to mean now that the Force at best might be looking for that draw to go to Golden Point. Unless, of course, there's some sort of other points that they score as well. Yeah, Dolly is underneath the mass of individuals. Voice is already going. We're only on the first live stream of the weekend. Nicely taken by Darcy Swain. Now, Dolly, he's gone off the field. That is by Alcock. And Robertson is off the field for Smith. Now, rolling this one back. Nick White being told to use it. Does go with the kick down towards the halfway line. Nicely taken by Corey Evans. And that's going to be a penalty for the Blues. Playing the man in the air for George Pullman. Frustrated about it, but it is the right decision. He did make contact with him. Oh no, 6'5" for George Pullman, they've just said. I thought he was only 6'4" or 6'2", but a little bit taller than that. Bowden Barrett does put the ball into touch again, and Shank the kick is no good. He should have kept his head down. He needs Beaver to teach him. So here's Drape. I have still wondered whether or not they had, what's his name, Stephen Donald say what he said, seeing as they probably knew that people wouldn't turn against him because he won a World Cup for the Kiwis. So you're at least got the local guys in your corner. You're doing Challenge Cup games this weekend too? I'm hoping to. I've got both of them kind of in mind, and they are being shown here in New Zealand, so that's a massive bonus compared to the quarters. Oh, beautiful skill from Harry Potter there, but AJ Lamb, 2 players slipping over. Nick White gets bumped off, ball on the inside to Papali'i. About 15 metres from the line, so Tutu misses the pass, but Bowden Barrett now looking both ways too, finds it off to Taeli. Never back on side, so the advantage is in favour of the Blues. Pick and go from Mason to Pyer. 5 metres out from the line. Now back off, Adrian Cho, and that's going back for the penalty again. This is another massive opportunity here for the Blues to take their bonus point back. Like they've said, when you're up by 14, do you take the 3 for the win, or do you go for the bonus point for the 5 points? I think you got to go bonus point here. In terms of the overall season, like they're saying, you shouldn't be able to give up a 14-point lead with 9 minutes to go, but you can get yourself another try. Seen 8 penalties each. They have called for the scrum here for the Blues. Wonder who it's going to be who crashes forward the Western Force. They have to make sure they're defending. Now, I actually think it wouldn't be a bad idea to go with Taeli here as the runner, mainly because we have seen the Blues. Oh no, Kirtley might have done his groin here. At least he was holding his nether region. Hopefully he's going to be all right. But yeah, we've seen the Blues go out wide so many times. So if you go on the inside with Taeli or maybe even Bowden Barrett, that's where that channel might be a little bit open. Tofa Funaki off the field. And that is for Sam Knock. And Kirtley Beale, he's gone off, and that is for Max Berry. Corey Evans, I think, was also situated straight behind the breakdown or the scrum. Big push here coming again. They've got the penalty advantage. Sam Knock goes off to Evans. Looked like he was a bit hesitant. He's going to try and go himself 2 metres short now of the try line. Having to defend this one hard. And the breakdown was Papali'i, now flung across to Angus Ta'avao. They've gone with the wide ball again. Forbes forces it down, and that will be another try for him. The hat-trick out on the wing. See, Taeli is signed until the end of 2026. Is that a good thing or such a bad thing to have such a young player only sign for 1 more year? I think it just depends on the long-term plan for the Blues, because they have got, or at least they have in the recent years, they've had so many options that they don't really have enough, I guess, jerseys to be able to give them all the chance. We're going to see this one at Cole Forbes. I think he's dropped that. I think he might have let that one slip through his fingers. But I think they might just say it's okay. Oh no, they're going to look at it. To be fair, he should have had much more control of that ball than he did there for Cole Forbes. And I think this is going to be about our 4th disallowed try of the game. So he has got the grounding, but it's whether or not it's separated from the hands before slamming it down. It looked good in real time, but oh, okay. I think I just saw Cole Forbes make a face and kind of look like he was guilty there. I think he's known now that maybe, see, he could have caught that one. That's the ground. Yeah, no, that's close to separation. No need to keep checking. We're going to see the replay here. Yeah, there's no press. Well, there is a press, to be fair, but I think, yeah, no, he's lost that one, Cole Forbes, unfortunately. And just with the slippery ball, Okay, never takes possession, but they will go back for the advantage anyway. So the Blues have still got another opportunity. Now, 6.5 minutes left, and I think that they'll go to the scrum again. It seems to be a pretty good tactic. Now, this is where you go just with that channel next to the breakdown. I think that if Evans had passed that ball, they probably would have scored, and instead tried to pierce his way through himself. There's also that option of Satutu off the back. Just noticed a hunter on my wall. A big spider, a thin lip between downward pressure and control of the ball, says Keith. And tries a try, sticker, checking. Says Spider-Me. Yeah, although in that situation it was no try for Cole Forbes. Why don't you just let us watch? That's a great question, Matthew. Pretty much because it's illegal is the best way of putting it. Sands are, as well as depending on who the broadcasters are, Sky Sports, Stan Sport, DSTV, etc., all have paid millions of dollars to be able to show these games, and I just talk about them on YouTube. Whether their Blues need one or two more tries. Hang on, ref saw downward pressure for the Force, so didn't bother looking at that one. Not that I care about consistency ever. Is that the one that was the line out? Because if it was, they did check the knock on, or at least, the obstruction at line out time. That was what they were checking rather than the downwards one, if that makes sense. Now we have got Ta'aval back in the All Blacks this year, surely. He might have a decent crack, to be fair. Like, there are a few props at the moment for New Zealand that I don't think have quite delivered the way that they did last year. The Blues have won 10 scrums. The Force haven't won a single scrum in this match, which is pretty brutal. So 2-2 now off the back. Donaldson hit on the wrong side there. Almost got himself in a lot of trouble. Come on, the Western Force. One more try, says Matthew. Yeah, of course, one more try for the Force would actually get them the bonus point. That's very close for Mason Tupaia, and the try is awarded. And the Blues have got themselves one. I believe it was Tupaia who will pop up with this one to his name. Where is he? Or is it Berry? Eklund? No, it's looking... Yeah, it's Josh Berry who pops up with the ball, they've said. And AB centre David Havili and Lester Fainanuku, I'm guessing raises vision. Says Blues Nate. We see there, Satutu. Yeah, no arms from Donaldson, or at least he really got himself just in an awful position to be able to make that tackle. They've probably done well to drag down Satutu short, though. And then from there, just getting over the try line for Josh Berry. And now Bowden Barrett, he's got 20 seconds to be able to take this kick and does just that. Gets it over. And that is now going to bring the bonus point back for them just currently. Now, of course, that is subject to change because we've already seen it given and then taken away a couple times throughout the second half. But the Blues, just for now, they have got it. Tui Pilotu, he's made his way off the field. That is for Christie. Force a shooting rubber bullet, says Kevin. But the thing is, if the Force get one more try, oh, great take from Taeli under the high ball. Carlo Tazzano went for the turnover. He's actually managed to get that cleanly. It looked like it was a knock-on initially, but I think it was the hands of the Blues that were involved in the breakdown. Please not Havili, he's too old. The guys at Olympus have stories about him. The thing is, though, Havili's not actually as old as people think he is. He's just been around for a very long time, I think is the best way of describing it. Like, you look at David Havili, one moment. Havili, he is 30 years old. So he's actually only 2 years older than Geordie Barrett. He is 3 years younger than Bowden Barrett. Rico's 28, isn't he? Yeah, he's 28 as well, Rico Ioane. The Blues, they would be in 6th at the moment, whereas the ball was dropped, so they have got a scrum now. And it will be the Blues feed, sitting about 38 metres out from their line. Statement needed, says Mr. Wallen. A lot of negative comments regarding Folau Fakatava signing with the Highlanders for a further 2 years. Hasty is becoming very popular locally. It's a great cover for us. That penalty goes the way of the Force. 2 minutes left. So this is now going to be the situation. 2 minutes, one try needed for the Force to take away the bonus point and take their spot back at 6th. Now the Blues, they haven't found touch with it. So that is butchered by the Western Force. The last thing that you want, although Barrett sends it straight down the middle of the field. So we'll have another chance of being able to get something going. Max Burry round the halfway line, runs straight at Dalton Papali'i. Does have to release Mason Tupai almost getting himself penalised there. Slinging this one back across to the left-hand side. Here comes Harry Potter. Goes across to Alcock. Got a hard and fast running style, says Tony Johnson there for Alcock. Going off to the right-hand side. Big attack and run from Carlo Tazzano. And they look like scoring, says Matthew. Now skip pass. Not able to take it cleanly there. Burry now. It's kicked downfield by AJ Lamb. Rolls into touch. I believe it will be now the line out for the Western Force. And now they've got 1 minute remaining on the clock. Okay, I thought he was 76. The way he moves, says Drape. Although, to be fair, he's had a much better season this year than last. Like last year, they were trying all sorts with him, and it wasn't really working. This year, he's at least kind of, he's gone all right in that number 12 jersey for the Satyrs. Line out for Albert Alcock now. Like they have said, they can deny the Blues a bonus point from the tries. It looks like the Western Force are really going to have a fair old crack at a George Pullman. Trying to run down the wing. He almost goes straight through both of them. AJ Lamb manages to still get the offload away to Harry Potter. Rico has to get out of that one. Does just that. Atumoli pops the ball up. Donaldson goes across to, I believe it was, who was it out on that wing? It's Matt Greeley. He hasn't had the ball anywhere near enough throughout this match. The Blues have cleaned that one up. Bowden Barrett trying to get towards the sideline. Western Force, bit of a counter ruck. Sam not go short side. They are putting this out. Tarvel tried to kick it out. It's played on the ground, was it? No. That was an absolutely brutal butchering from the Blues of finishing off this match. And now the Western Force with the attacking chance. Terrible pass from Nick White. But pretty much what happened there was Tarvel tried to kick the ball into touch and missed it. And ended up pretty much gifting it straight to the Western Force again. Burry running towards the sideline. Almost cleaning out the player. Sam Knock not able to get the turnover. Clean turnover this time though from the Blues. Right, anyone but Ta'aval to kick this ball out. No, counter ruck from the Force. They get it back now. The Blues just haven't finished out this game, which I feel like, yes, they can still win, and they should, which of course they will, but they need that bonus point to be in the top 6, and at the moment they are giving the Force the perfect opportunity to go for it. Satutu looking for a turnover. He's given away the penalty advantage now, so they will play for longer. Satutu's not letting this ball go. He's turned it over. That was almost cynical enough for a card. It was fantastic though, says Jason. And also, what about real-time analysis of rugby streams? Push through the AI, which in turn creates real-time animated rendition of gameplay, which is then added to your stream. Says JG. Sounds a bit too complicated for me. I don't even know how to work YouTube. Has Christie been dropped or is he injured, says the Sporting Kiwi? I think injured. HIA for Dalton Papali'i. Now, he only just came back from a head knock. So Anton Segner will make his way back out onto the field for the remaining times. Angus Tarvale, please don't do that again, sir. Although, to be fair, in his defence, right, he shouldn't have been the guy who had to kick that one out. Sam Knock pick and go'd off the back, ran towards the sideline, looked at it, went, and then decided to give it off to Ta'aval, as if to say, kick this one into touch. So, yes, Ta'aval had the butchering moment, but Sam Knock should have had, look, he's got all the time in the world to at least kick that one out, but instead gives it to Ta'aval and says, you're more of a designated kicker than me. I was happy until someone mentioned Christie. Geez, thanks. Maybe they were mentioning Cam Christie. That ball's loose, and Taili has now cleaned it up for the Blues. Surely someone can put this ball out. Sam not taking his time. Ball is available. Puts it back into the pocket. Bowden Barrett kicks it into touch. And the Blues get themselves their bonus point win. But boy, did they make it difficult near the end of that game. Do you think Moana Pacific will make the playoffs? They're a decent side. If they beat the Highlanders, they've got a decent chance. They will have to play the Blues in a few weeks' time. A well time for my tea. Thanks, Abby. Bye, everyone. And over 61.5 possible? It is not, no. But only because the game's over. Yeah, baby, yeah. Says TH and Trio Hamish. Says Blues Nate. And also we have got there, cheers for the commentary, Hamish. Says that Mr. All in there too. So, throughout this weekend, ladies and gents, we have got plenty more happening. We've got the Reds versus Fijian draw tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Then from there, we've got the 7 p.m. When will the Blues end the round? When will the Blues end the round? Is that where will they end on the table at the end of the round? Because no idea, because every other team still has to play except for the Crusaders. But they are inside of the top 6. If the Waratahs beat the Brumbies, they will go above the Blues. If Moana Pacifica beat the Highlanders, they will go above the Blues. If the Highlanders beat Moana Pacifica by about 45 points, they will go above the Blues. So there's still a lot that can happen. And there's 3 sides that could overtake them. Theoretically, sounds pretty rough, but the Blues could be as low as, I believe, about maybe 8th or 9th by the end of this round again. But they shouldn't be, as long as results go their way. But nonetheless, like I said, Super Rugby tomorrow. We've got the 2 p.m. game and then the 7 p.m. game between the Hurricanes and the Chiefs. We've got hopefully some Challenge Cup and Champions Cup semi-finals. And then after that, we've also got the 7s taking place pretty much from 5 a.m. or about maybe 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time, right through to 1 p.m. I should say. We don't mind. But there will be but we there, baby, come on Blues, says TH, and now we need a bonus point win. Says Highlanders will win. And there as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.